back on Inside Tennessee, picking up where we left off with your question, John.
Mr. Wheeler, we'll pick up with you in terms of if you are elected and you go into office, what are you going to do about staffing? What needs to be done?
John, that's a great question. Being there in the 15 years I was there, all the employees that are presently employed will keep a job. Now, will certain positions remain? Probably not. There's a liaison to the judge that makes over $60,000 a year. There's a special assistant to the clerk that makes over $70,000 a year. There's a managing clerk that makes almost $70,000 a year that does HR. Knox County has an HR department. Why pay someone to duplicate a job that Knox County's doing? So those employees will be brought back in other positions, and those unnecessary positions you don't need. So why not save the taxpayers money? Also, under my administration, if elected as circuit court, I plan on turning over all my positions to Knox County HR, where they will be advertised through Knox County. Knox County will send me the top 3 candidates, and I will choose from there.
Is there a ghost employee in that office, Mr. Wheeler?
Yes, good question on that. Yes, I have a current lawsuit with the circuit court clerk that's sitting, and I went to Knox County HR, reported a ghost employee. 2 days later, I was terminated under reorganization. I was the chief deputy. That is now the only fee office in Knox County without a chief deputy, and they just reassigned the salary to a different name title.
And I just want to follow up on that. Has that person worked there a long time?
That person has been underemployment, and you know, I welcome you to go to Knox County Circuit Court where the lawsuit lies. There are 5 years of the employee drawing a full salary, benefits, retirement, never once darkened the doors, and then there's 5 years of the timesheets that were forged by another employee with his signature.
But just to be clear, you mentioned you worked in that office for a long time. What sorts of things did you do to stop that from happening?
Well, of course, you always hear in any political office lots of rumors, and this is going on, that's going on. But in the court system, you don't go on rumors. You have to go on proof. And so in February of 15, I found the proof and got the proof of an employee. When I spoke with the supervisor, I was turning in timesheets. This employee was missing his timesheet, and I called the supervisor, and she replied to me, the employee hasn't been here for 3 weeks, but yet then I was faxed the timesheet showing he had came in at 8 in the morning and left at 4:30 in the afternoon. But after a supervisor saying the employee had not been there, I went to Knox County HR and reported this.
Mr. Susano, your answer.
Thank you, John. I'm just glad to get the chance to answer the question. In my 5 years in the trustee's office in Knox County, and I take great pride in having worked there for that period of time, I always think that the most important thing is how do you provide the best possible service for that one person that is currently standing in front of you? What do they need? How do you give it to them efficiently? In that capacity, as employees of the Circuit Court Clerk's office, many have been there decades. I think you rely on that experience. There's always improvements that can be made in an office. If you need to move people around, increase team building, find something that they may be able to do better and move another person in that position. I think you need to look at it, the big picture, but find out always what works best for the taxpayer of Knox County.
Do you feel like, based on what you've been doing and hearing about that office, that customer service is suffering or not as good as it should be?
That's a good question, John. I believe, I always salute people that are willing to give their time and work hard for Knox County. So the people that are on the front counter, that are the face of any office, in particular this office, whether it's in juvenile court, civil sessions, or in circuit, they need to provide the best possible service. So I think let's look at everybody, get in there, find out who's best suited to provide that service, to be that face for the office, and have them be there.
And just to expand on John's question to all of you, Mr. Wheeler, down the line, what about the customer service aspect? A lot of you have expressed what Mr. Susano said about customer service, and perhaps there's a lack of that in this office. Do you agree with that?
Well, when I first started in civil sessions, there were 21 employees. They now have 11. Why? Why has that been cut down? The clerk has moved the phone system to being automated. If I'm elected, I'm going to do away with the automated phone system. When you've got an attorney or a defendant trying to call and get information, they don't want to go through some rigmarole of press this number, press that number. I want people there answering the phone and directing the calls to the individual they need to go to. Does it need more public service? Yes, in civil sessions, they are extremely understaffed. That court last year did over 20,000 filings. They had over $1 million in revenue that was collected by the clerk in fees and commissions, but yet she has continued to cut that staff down. Why? And if that is there making money, then let's staff it to give the public the service they deserve.
Mr. Smith.
As a business owner, one of the things that you realize you have to do in order to keep getting customers and making money is that you have to please your clients. And so that's what I've been doing for 16 years. I think it's not a combination of this or that. I think that we need to modernize the technology, have technology that's far more user-friendly than we have right now, and also double that and hopefully more people will be able to use their electronic device so they don't have to come in and look at you face to face. But those that do, either by choice or they're having special needs, that we're able to come in and what I call give them the Chick-fil-A experience. Most of us here have been to Chick-fil-A, and you walk in and it's, oh, how can I help you? What can I do for you now? And it's a willingness to want to help. And that comes from the leadership. That comes from the top. If the clerk is there working every day with a smile on their face, then that is going to gravitate towards the other employees. You have to lead by example, John.
Your take on the customer service, Mr. Williams.
My reason for getting into this race was customer service. I believe that it does begin at the top. I believe that the current administration has allowed it to get to a point where it's just, we function. We don't necessarily go out of our way to service anyone. We just function with what we've got. And I believe that, again, with lacrosse training, currently the clerk's office is implementing an online retrieval system and trying to negotiate contracts for our online filing system as we speak, which may be a problem for the new clerk coming in. They're talking about 4- and 5-year contracts on this system that they're trying to implement, and they have no technology background or knowledge to do anything with it. But absolutely, the service level is not adequate. It should be much greater than what it is, and it's not because of the people, it's just because of, I believe, upper management failing to do their job in the office there.
Mr. Bennett.
Customer service can always be improved. I think we can all agree on that. You know, my customers are governments, so keeping them happy is very complicated. They're very needy, you know, it's by necessity. Not only that, but they're dealing with the public, so I have to help them also deal with the public. When their constituents and their clients are unhappy, that comes up the line to me. You know, I've also been in emergency services here in Knox County before. You know, customer service is something I personally have put a lot of work into, making sure that I can provide people with the best service that they can have as quickly as they can, especially in some of those situations. Going back to the technology aspect for a moment, I mean, that is literally what I do in governments already. It's not a, this is what I want to do. It is something that I actively do across the state, from small counties in Upper East to large cities pretty much in the middle of the state. I won't name any names, but there's a big building, looks kind of like Batman there.
All right. We get the hint.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to leave that question there, but we're going to have one more block with our candidates before we bid them adieu. John North back with that right after this.